Right. So since everyone's running through it, so there are like we need to understand the influencer game before we go into it. Okay. So yes, we are going to learn about consumer behavior. Hereby, we are going to advance on it. A controversial character, but well execution focused. Right. So lot of things that you can see end of the program. Course you should be able to start your own business or part time get some money. Nothing mature invest you have come in to the program. I don't want you to waste your time also. Okay. So the course should take you somewhere. So I want you to take a few minutes and understand this. So what is the digital marketing they are doing? Just run through both of these characters. Not the perfect examples, obviously. If you go abroad, examples are there. But I just want you to check through. Okay. Right. So I'm starting to get some answers. So that's a good thing, right? So try to keep the answers going. So some learning is happening. No? If you start playing the content, it's a bit risky, right? Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to look at digital marketing and consumer behavior. Different models are available, and there is a concept called zero moment of truth. Then you will learn about moment of truth. In marketing, we say moment of truth when the customer uses your product. Now, if you are going to the ATM, commercial bank, you go put your card, salli na to, if it comes back, it will be a very negative moment of truth for you. Let's say you're trying to log into the bank account. If the app is not working, it's a negative moment of truth. If again is zero moment of truth, this is where you're using it online and it is creating certain amount of issues, right? So PayPal is coming to Sri Lanka. That is more or less confirmed, and it has become one of the key news item. Yeah, it's good for you to be in Reddit. Reddit there is a certain advantage you will have. Okay, so I'm putting the news link. It's useful for you also because gradually you have to see if you can work online and get certain amount of cash worked out. Consumer behavior is all about searching, purchasing, using, evaluating, and disposing of the product while satisfying their needs. So there is a lot to look into, like the packaging of the product, right? So you have to look at how people will consume the product. Sachet packets. The right now you can see that sunlight comes in a liquid and all that, right? So run through this particular content of uh, packaging. So they are making different types of origami oriented packaging. It's very famous. There is a guy who was creating, this one.
Innovative Packaging Design Part 1. This packaging can replace heavy coconuts and won't waste coconut water. There will be no butter waste in this packaging. Due to this packaging, you can also take the bag with you. There will be no pizza waste in this packaging because people will buy only as much as they are hungry. This packaging is making tennis balls look like beans. People will buy the whole pack instead of one ball. This packaging is showing the taste of which fruit so that people can easily know. Innovative Packaging Design Part 1. This packaging can replace heavy coconuts.
How I created my own.
Innovative Packaging Design Part 1.
So gradually you'll see there is a lot of packaging creators, right? Ekama job back හැටියට කරන අයත් ඉන්නවා. So if it is your talent, you can just try and see, right? Consumer behavior wise, what influences consumer behavior කියලා ගන්නකොට culture. Then cultures අනුවට තමයි කෑම හැදෙන්නේ, like food, the color preference. Then ලංකාව ගත්තා නම් you have a kottu preference, right? Fried rice preference. But one interesting thing is whatever we are having in Sri Lanka, these noodles and all that, you can't get that in China. අපේ fried rice කියලා Chinese fried rice කියලානේ අපි හිතන්නේ, but it's not really that. You can't find the same thing in China. So cultural factors are there. There are social factors. Yeah. There are certain amount of personal factors, psychological factors. So these will impact how we like a particular product or not like a particular product. And this consumer behavior will influence the business model. So while you're learning digital marketing, you need to know the business model canvas also, right? So spend some time around this. I'll share you the content. I'll put the screenshot of both the slides so you can also understand it. We'll do it as an activity, and after you listen to business model canvas, I can push you to complete this content, right?
An organization's business model can be described with 9 basic building blocks: your customer segments, your value proposition for each segment, the channels to reach customers, customer relationships you establish, the revenue streams you generate, the key resources and key activities you require to create value, the key partners, and the cost structure of the business model. But it's not sufficient to just enumerate the 9 building blocks. What you really want to do is to map them out on a pre-structured canvas. This is what we call the business model canvas, a tool that helps you map, discuss, design, and invent new business models. Let's briefly go through the 9 building blocks, starting with the customer segments. These are all the people or organizations for which you're creating value. This includes simple users and paying customers. For each segment, you have a specific value proposition. These are the bundles of products and services that create value for your customers. The channels describe through which touchpoints you're interacting with customers and delivering value. The customer relationships outline the type of relationship you're establishing with your customers. The revenue streams make clear how and through which pricing mechanisms your business model is capturing value. Then you need to describe the infrastructure to create, deliver, and capture value. The key resources show which assets are indispensable in your business model. The key activities show which things you really need to be able to perform well. The key partners show who can help you leverage your business model, since you won't own all key resources yourself, nor will you perform all key activities. Then once you understand your business model's infrastructure, you'll also have an idea of its cost structure. So with the business model canvas, you can map out your entire business model in one image. This works for startup entrepreneurs just as well as for the most senior executives.
You've seen the business model canvas.
Right, so move into the second activity, right? So this is to set up your business model canvas and the consumer behavior. I put the screenshots now. Now activity 2, trial out the consumer behavior factors and the business model canvas for a brand of your choice. You can obviously use AI, have a AI, he doesn't give correctly, right? So I want you all to properly choose the content and work around with it, right?
An organization's business model can be described
Now, when you go into a restaurant, you are effectively manipulated to buy wine. First of all, there are
Let me ask you a couple of these other questions. A flower is simply a weed with an advertising budget. What does that mean, Rory?
Signaling is often necessary in a economics doesn't understand. Well, economics came up with, in part, the concept of signaling, although partly borrowed it from biology.
What is
Rory Sutherland. I'm the Vice Chairman of Ogilvy and May there in the UK, and we're here based in sea containers on the South Bank in London. I also write a weekly column for The Spectator called The Wiki Man. My job is to persuade people in all walks of life that quite often the best way to solve a problem is by changing the way people think rather than changing physical reality. My greatest life lesson is really that whatever you do in life, try and be good at two things that are perhaps interconnected.
So I read somewhere that you don't like the term career.
You might say that the danger with career is it encourages too much forward planning. Let's be honest, I mean, half of the job titles in this building didn't even exist when I joined the industry. So I can't remember what it is, but I mean, there's a very large percentage of people in London who have a kind of job description which literally did not exist in 1995.
Head of content.
And so if that pace of change, exactly, the idea of having a career and planning what you want to do as though you can is really a little bit of a pretense.
So what would you say to a young person today, like me? I mean, I don't feel that young anymore. I'm nearly 30, but I feel
Nearly
like,
30?
well, I don't know.
okay.
I feel like
Right.
I have just dabbled in so many different things, and I feel under a lot of pressure, especially, you know, when I was trying to get a job in the creative industry, in advertising, you know, they would look at my CV and be like, well, what are you?
That actually is one of the worst aspects of employment, which is that we employ to fill positions rather than employing people and then working out roles around them. One of the things I would recommend is a certain degree of randomness, certainly early in your career, in the long term pays off because it gives you versatility and it gives you breadth. The idea that the modern employee in truth has to be good at more than one thing. Or at least you have to be very good and with depth in one thing, but you need to have breadth in a variety of related fields.
You read classics at Christ College. You joined Ogilvy in 1988 as part of a graduate trainee scheme where you were named the worst graduate trainee that Ogilvy ever hired. Then you were fired from the planning department, sent to creative.
I reapplied, in fact. I reapplied.
Okay.
Yeah.
You became a copywriter. 5 years later, you were executive creative director of Ogilvy One.
Yeah.
And now vice chairman of Ogilvy UK. How?
The fact that people's early stage careers are slightly messy or non-linear shouldn't be in any way a mark of shame. As work gets in some ways more and more specialised, time spent dicking around finding out what it is you really want to do isn't really wasted.
Yeah.
It may seem so at the time, but actually a surprising amount of what I learned, even being a bad account person, is still of value to me today. I think there's actually a very interesting problem, which I almost counts as a paradox, which is the more people want to make recruitment look fair and methodical and rigorous, the more homogeneous it becomes. The only problem about applying the same criteria to everybody is that everybody you choose is then the same. The one thing I would confidently say is an extraordinary ability at anything is kind of interesting. To work as a decent agency, the mixture of people isn't just a byproduct, it's actually essential to the functioning of any agency. The one quality I always look for in people is curiosity. The one thing that would be a deal breaker, I think, in employing someone in an advertising department in a creative role would be someone who is fundamentally incurious.
This actually brings me on to the Pepsi ad question that I had for you, which is trial by social media, and how basically, correct me again if I'm wrong, but everyone within the advertising industry saw that ad and was like, it's shit, this is wrong with it, that's wrong, that's wrong. Everyone outside of the advertising industry was like, what's wrong with it?
There are some problems with that ad, which is what the hell's Kylie Jenner doing there?
Yeah.
It was a little bit too. I'll tell you what it was. It was kind of like its strategic bra straps were showing, and it didn't get away with it. And it's worth remembering that when you do any of that kind of issue-based or what you might call mission-based advertising, you're walking a pretty fine line.
Yeah.
If there are thousands of people misunderstanding your advertisement, willfully or not, you've got a problem.
Yeah.
What actually happens instead is that 10 people misunderstand it, express their outrage. In the old days, newspaper reporting actually involved getting out of the office and going and visiting people to canvass their opinions. And therefore, mad people with extreme opinions were difficult to find because there weren't very many of them. On Twitter, if you want to create a scandal, all you do is go, there'll be some mad people here. Oh, look, here they are. Hashtag blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Cut and paste.
Yeah.
Put it in the
It's
newspaper. Too easy.
It's too easy.
And it's the mainstream media, not the social media, that are most to blame, because they take what is a totally minority whack job opinion and they make it seem a mainstream opinion. What we need to do is stop trying to actually create solutions around media. Instead, we've got to actually go back to basics, understand human psychology, motivation, and what causes people to act as they do, think as they do, and decide as they do. And we've got to go back to the basics of human psychology, and then once we've understood that, we can decide which, if any, of these new media might be appropriate to solving the problem.
This is from your book. You're saying the most dangerous people were the stupid and energetic people, but the clever and lazy people ranked highly.
In some ways, there's an aspect to laziness which is not totally disconnected from creativity, which is you'd rather sit and think about an easier way of doing something than plough in and try and solve a problem by brute force.
Yes.
So there probably is some sort of correlation in people between idleness and ingenuity.
What are the things that fascinate you the most, other than trains and curry
Trains
houses?
and curry houses and true life crime and air crashes. Yeah. Particularly, yeah. I'm interested in all of those four to an insane degree. A lot of people in this business are weirdly fascinated by trains
It's
as
an
well.
autism thing, I feel.
Yeah, no, it is. I am a tiny bit on the spectrum, a little bit on the spectrum.
What is the most interesting thing you've learnt about human behaviour?
Probably the extent to which our actions precede our reasons. That a large part of consciousness seems to delude us that we think and reason and then act. The way we pretend we think, act and decide doesn't bear that, and the way we are convinced we think, act and decide doesn't bear much relation to the real cognitive reality. Where you direct your attention affects what you deem to be important. You can't control what you feel is important, but you can control where you direct your attention and thereby hack yourself into changing your priorities and the things that matter to you.
Are you afraid of anything in the future?
Every creative person slightly has that fear that they lose the ability to do it. I slightly worry about this. What happens when standards of appearance become so high that they become ridiculously time-consuming?
I think that's happened.
You think? I think it's already happened.
Oh gosh.
Now, I wanted to have rules in Ogilvy to save women having to worry about fashion. That we'd actually, for 4 days out of every five, fifth day you can all get dressed up, do your thing, right?
Yeah.
But for the first 4 days, everybody would wear like overalls, a bit like it. You know those headquarters of a James Bond villain.
Yeah.
James Bond villain.
Yeah.
Everybody goes around in red overalls. You know, the great thing about those things is those villains didn't have to spend a load of time going, do I wear the blue overalls? Do I wear the red overalls?
That's the best thing
Put the
about
fucking
going to
overalls
school
in.
with a uniform.
Yeah, so the Ogilvy
Oh,
uniform
come
is
on.
just okay,
Orange
here it
jumpsuit.
is, just exactly, orange jumpsuit. Place would look
Maybe
fantastic.
numbers.
Yeah,
Like prison
nice idea.
style.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
That'd be
creative
better.
department.
Actually, that's not a
Come
bad idea.
on.
Actually, this is quite a good idea.
Okay, quick fire. What's the best lesson we can learn from the past? Too deep? Don't worry about it. Are you successful?
Yeah, to the extent which is if I fell off a cliff tomorrow, I wouldn't feel I'd wasted my life. Yeah.
Have you ever failed?
Yes, lots.
What country's making the best advertising?
It's harder and harder than ever to generalize. But Brazil and Latin America have always had some fantastic stuff.
Do you ever have shit ideas?
Oh yeah, really shit ideas, yeah. Not only that, you have to have some shit ideas.
Yeah.
The most vital thing in an ad agency is you have a culture where it's okay to fail or be silly. Creating a culture in which you can make stupid suggestions and still get promoted. You didn't ask me Beatles or Stones.
Beatles or Stones?
Did you always ask Beatles or Stones? It's an all quick fire question.
Beatles or Stones?
Remote. No, Stones actually.
Scrambled or fried?
Fried.
Tweed or leather?
Actually, more tweed. The other thing with fried, you can make, I shouldn't interrupt here, you can make eggs Benedict with fried eggs. It's better than poached.
Really?
Yeah, and bacon's better than ham as well.
Do you put
So
a bit
it's
of
basically a full English breakfast on a bun.
What's the weirdest thing you ever had Tabasco on?
Oh, I put Tabasco on virtually everything. So
I put it on porridge.
What food is not improved by the addition of cheese?
Cheese.
And the only one I can think of is the food that isn't improved by adding cheese. Probably prawns. Do you think?
No, it could still work
You
for
think
me,
it
to
still
be
works?
honest. Oh yeah, it would work. Hold on, and then we can end this.
I worry about shit like this. This is terrible.
Right. So what I did was to provide you with the content. Okay. Yeah, English is there now than some of you guys would have struggled. That's fine. YouTube has a video summarizer. Yeah, and then for those struggling with English, right? You use AI, use YouTube video summarizer, Google, and get any link. Number one. Number two is use AI to translate to Sinhala. Translate this document. Prompt then, right? So make use of AI. AI is your friend. Don't be scared of him. Okay. So let me end the session with that. Today, of course, we just touched on consumer behavior application. There is a lot to do. So give me the next class also. So ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a small break for this week. I'll give a homework saying homework just to be in touch with the subject. Review more videos of Rory Sunderland. Use translator and YouTube summarizer if needed. It's easy, right? If you use that, identify all his consumer behavior insights. Watch at least 2 videos. Yeah, videos right? Right, with that, let me end the session. Sitmi was there throughout the session. Thank you, Sitmi, for being very participative, very inspiring, right? Rest of you guys who are listening to recordings, guys, give me feedback, keep posted on homework, right? If you have doubts, you want certain things to be done, we'll make sure it's done, okay? Shall we end the session, ladies and gentlemen? Right, it's a rainy day. It was a bit thundering also in Battaramulla area. But I didn't want to cancel and make mess ups. I just wanted to do the class and get you all also on board. I'm sure you all also having the same problem. Right. So let me end the session, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks a lot.